When I was reading the negative comments from both sides of the political spectrum, people seemed less mad about who her husband was than what her origin story may have been, or how she ended up with Trump in the first place, or what brought her to America, or how she was supporting herself in New York as a struggling model. And I was like, seriously, with the current climate that we live in, that's what you guys are choosing to focus on?
Hi, Allie.
Thanks for
Welcome to
having me.
Obsessed.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm so comfortable. This is an
Amazing.
Optimal situation for every reason.
I'm so glad. And I'm obsessed with you.
Thank you.
We're going to jump right in. We don't have a ton of time. So
Let's do it. Quick and dirty.
I'm going to grill you, girl.
Please do.
Okay. So obviously I'm obsessed with your Melania content.
Thank you.
Okay, please walk us through this. Where did this come from? Like, where did you finally see the moment and you were like, wait, she's doming him?
So I think it was at the end of 2024, Melania spoke out in favor of abortion. And when she did that, something went off in my head where I was like, okay, this man has run his platform staunchly against such views for her to stand up and speak in opposition to him. A lot of people said that it was a PR campaign to win favor for both her and him. But I was like, the average civilian is closed-minded. We need to look at what's really going on here. She's making a fool of him in public. So the first video I ever made was me in my bed with 2 braids and face oil, no makeup, pajamas, and I just kind of ran my mouth about their dynamic.
Well, you had an epiphany.
I really did. Something came to me from above. And I posted that video on TikTok, which we all know is a dumping ground. And I woke up the next morning, it had 2 million views. And I was like, oh, there's something here. And then the rocket ship left the station.
It very much did. You've done extremely well with this content. And I am, for one, am always waiting on bated breath for the next installment. Okay, so something that I've been getting from all of the content, which I feel like you've touched on in some way, but I want to ask directly, do you think that Melania is performing some sort of covert resistance through fashion?
Yes. I think that Melania has made the conscious effort not to tell, but rather to show. I think historically, fashion has always been used as a tool for resistance, and it really kind of makes me laugh that people love to label her like a dumb hoe, for lack of a better way of putting that. Even if you look into the comments on my videos, everyone's like, she's dumb and she's a slut. Those are the 2 biggest pieces of, backlash that she gets, at least in my world. And I think it's funny that people wouldn't think she was smart enough to embed Easter eggs into her clothes. Yes, she has a stylist, but this is a woman who lives and breathes fashion and is also clearly conscious of how political fashion can be. She's also a woman who doesn't want to say much in public, and we all know English is not her first language, and listening to her public speak can sometimes be hard, unpleasant. And so I think she has realized that there's a lot that she can say with a stitch or, a choice of tailoring or a color. So yeah, I do think it's deliberate.
And you think her stylists are in on it?
Well, her stylist is her gay bestie, Hervé Pierre. He's petty as fuck. And anytime we've seen a major serve moment for her, it's always coming from him. And we all know that the only person who hates a husband more than the wife is the wife's gay best friend.
Period. So I feel like people read Melania sometimes as submissive, like you're saying, a dumb hoe, whatever. Mm-hmm. And is it just the fashion that made you think she was dominant? Or what is it specifically that was oh, she's fully a dom?
I think it's their entire relationship dynamic. I mean, this is a man who grew up so spoiled, who was never said no to, who was able to get whatever he wanted whenever he wanted it. And one day, whether it was through a party or Jeff Epp or whoever, was responsible for bringing the 2 of them together. That's an answer I don't have. But one day, Lil Don Don met Melania, and Melania was disgusted by him, and he was infatuated by her. And the makings of a fabulous transactional relationship just appeared.
A tale as old as time, really.
It really is. And I think that both of them immediately knew what there was to gain out of their relationship. She wanted financial security. She wanted a child. She wanted access. She wanted the ability to stay in the US. He wanted a woman who wasn't going to fall at his feet. I think he wants anything that's not going to come easy to him. So inherently, the way that they treat each other, it reeks of a dom-sub dynamic. And I think people like to assume that Melania is submissive or stupid because English is not her first language, because she's an immigrant, because she's beautiful, and because she doesn't outwardly, you know, besides the abortion moment, which is why it was such a revelation for me, normally she's not being super vocal against him, but actions speak louder than words. And through every single one of her actions, you can see she absolutely detests that man.
What's your take on her being somehow like a KGB operative that's like part of this like post Cold War like Russia destroying American democracy? Like, do you think that she's a part of that?
I don't.
Okay.
I think this is a woman who just wanted as many Birkins as possible.
Period.
And then ended up the first lady, you know, like
Poor thing, honestly.
And I was going to say it do be like that sometimes, but it's not like that ever. And I think to say that she's running some sort of, you know, government op is, I think she's a very smart woman, but even I do not think that she has the capacity to do that. I think people need to go outside and touch grass, or at least touch concrete, touch something.
Touch something. Yeah. Other than TikTok, for sure. Anyway. Okay, so you obviously saw the documentary.
Actually, I didn't.
Stop.
I was so depressed by how boring it looked that I didn't want to ruin my vision of her. I mean, the trailer was cut in such an amazing way that like I got what I needed. I didn't have to sit through the entire thing. I also thought that the choice of Brett Ratner as the director was interesting. I don't know, like they say don't meet your heroes. And sometimes when you watch a documentary, even though Melania was the executive producer of the documentary and made every creative choice, sometimes when you watch a doc, you are kind of coming closer to meeting your hero. And I was like, I don't know that I want that. I think I want to see her as dominatrix superwoman. I don't want to see her as vapid first lady.
Yeah, you want to see her withholding, not talking.
Exactly. And from what I understand from the reviews that I read, you know, the doc, it gave nothing. And she gives me so much that I really had to make a choice to protect myself. My decision to give up the content that could have come from reviewing the documentary, it was self-protection.
I feel like the majority of the film was her getting fitted for a dress.
Yes.
And I do feel like your whole take on like the attention to detail and the tailoring,
speaks
like
volumes.
Yeah, like it was a through line. There was, I think that you could get a lot of content out of it. I don't know that it would ruin her for you. Like I think that she gave as little as she could to make a film.
Fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know. I'd be curious to see your take, but you know what? I get it. Sometimes like I don't watch stuff that people are like, obviously you've watched this.
Also, you know what it was like, to be real about just the content landscape, there was so much pressure on me to watch that movie and to review it and to come correct with my like analysis and it almost took the fun out of it for me. It's true what I said. I mean, I was afraid to watch something that I thought would have like personally ruined the illusion. But I think that when there's too much pressure on making, you know, amazingly resonant content, it robs the joy out of the process. And I actually think that the reason this series did so well was because I put no pressure on it. It was just fun. I have been in the content landscape for over 10 years now, and I've learned that the second you start placing too much emotional or financial weight or like your own self-esteem on how well your content performs, that's when A, it makes you depressed, and B, it stops performing as well. I am really 100% convinced that Melania was like the perfect heady cocktail of landing on something that was so topical, but also I thought it was hilarious. And it just brought me so much joy that even if the videos didn't go anywhere, I probably would have made the entire series still. because it was like
you were just having so much fun. Yeah, you're like, this is my hobby, not my job.
Exactly.
So like, I'm not gonna just do the movie.
My
like
absolute passion project. That was my nights and weekends. And I think having found something that like resonated with me so deeply, it was bothersome to me that, you know, quite literally like tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, the series went crazy. Yeah. Everyone was like, I can't wait to hear your take on the documentary. That it almost felt a little bit punk to just like not comment on the documentary at all.
Totally. You were like, I've already said enough. Like, the documentary is just the proof.
I'm taking a cue from, you know, a page from Melania's book and saying absolutely nothing.
I think the fact that it was just fun for you, like, I don't know that anyone was aware of that. Like, you could tell that you were having so much fun and you were living and like obviously like vibrating at a very high frequency when talking about Melania, but I'm surprised that this wasn't like scripted or like, I feel like a lot of people probably thought you put a ton of work into it. And I just like, I want to commend you on like how clearly and like coherently you like just drove that message home each time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing in the world was how many messages I got from people. I had one guy actually say, I can't tell if you're a dominatrix or a CNN correspondent. Like, I got multiple messages basically saying, please tell me, are you a journalist or are you a dominatrix, you know? And that's kind of how I wanted to set myself up. Totally. And a lot of people had no idea that I had a podcast or had been making content previously. They only found my Instagram or my TikTok based on this series. Totally. And especially if you followed it on TikTok, there was barely anything else on my TikTok. So I don't blame people for being like, who's this random woman coming out with this like highly researched theory and delivering it, you know, in super smooth, quick.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, it was butter.
And I thought it was, you know, wise that somebody who has experience in journalism would be able to edit like that, which I did. I had been, you know, an on-air host, a content creator for 10 years, but also I did have enough knowledge of the BDSM world to be able to, you know, stitch point A to point B. And even better than the messages being like, I don't know if you're a journalist or a dominatrix, were the messages from the actual doms saying this theory is 100% correct. And 100%. I was like, I see you, sister. So yeah, I mean, I did definitely put effort into the series, but I chose to put effort into the series because of how much I was enjoying it. Yeah. And it taught me a really valuable lesson about finding the joy in your work. And
it's always going to do better.
Yes. I never set out for this series to be my job, but at a certain point I started monetizing on TikTok and I made so much money from it that it kind of did become a job. Amazing. Which is also why I think I pumped the brakes on it more recently. A, because I kind of felt like maybe shit was so bad in the real world that people didn't want to make a joke out of what was increasingly scary. You know, like my friends getting messages that their health insurance has been canceled. I felt a little bit weird about taking the piss in this way or finding the lightness when the world is crappy. Yeah. But then on the flip side, it's exactly what I just said. I think when there's too much pressure for something to succeed, the joy gets removed from it. And now that I have taken enough time and space to kind of realize that I miss it and rediscover my joy from it both, maybe I will come back.
Oh, okay.
You're sparking something in me having this conversation. I don't think I've ever felt so purposeful in my entire life.
Oh my God. Well, you know what's funny? I don't know if this constitutes me as like a day one, but I did start following you long before Melania because I saw your interview with Goddess Kayla.
Yes. Oh my God, my Pretty Privilege show. Yes. Girl.
Yeah.
Love. Okay, I was obsessed with her. What a fucking
Who
icon.
Isn't, honestly?
The whole world, hence why she's doing so well. For your listeners, some context, I had a talk show called Pretty Privilege, which was about women in different industries monetizing their appearance and what that entailed. And one of my guests was your friend, it sounds like.
Well,
acquaintance?
Yeah, like, we run in similar circles. Like, not that she's not a friend. We just haven't had that time to bond.
Okay,
but
so
a lot of respect for her work.
A third degree separation kind of vibe.
Yeah.
She's a highly successful financial dominatrix and just stunningly beautiful with the most like radiant energy. And I was just like,
and like mysterious allure.
Beyond. I was like, you are going to kill me and I will pay you to do
Please.
it. I understand why her business is booming.
Where do I sign?
So wow, you really are OG.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, I don't know if that's day one, but like it's been a minute.
It's day if we're at 10, that's day 5.
Okay.
So that's pretty good.
I met you halfway.
That's pretty good. I'll take it.
Love that. Yeah. So I've been a fan. I've been watching you, and then I saw the Melania stuff pop up, and I was like, oh, she popped off.
By
like
accident.
She's letting them have it.
By accident. And that's also what's crazy about existing online and being a content creator of any sort, is that I spent a decade putting so much time and energy and like attention to detail into my work to moderate levels of success. And when I threw something so random and trashy into the dumpster fire that was TikTok, it blew up in a way that I was hoping my other work would blow up, which, you know, is extremely annoying. Like, I did not get a college degree to be a specialist in Melania being a dominatrix. I don't think my professors are particularly proud of that either.
I'm sure they're making a major as we speak.
I hope so.
From your
I hope
work.
someone is talking about me in some context in a classroom, good or bad. I don't give a fuck. I just hope they're talking about it, because I was on the front lines. I blazed a trail. But in all seriousness, amount of time and effort and energy that I put into my work, and then this ended up being the thing that did well. I think for a while I was resentful of it. But then I came to realize that this is just the climate that we're living in. You have to kind of Trojan horse your audience, for better or for worse.
And well, one thing I want to say about that though is, like, when I'm hearing you talk about all the years that you worked so hard in this field, and then for this sort of like for lack of a better word, like silly concept comes up and it just blows up. It's like, I mean, it's the same thing as like escorts spending thousands of dollars on their ad photos. You already know the story. And then like they post the selfie, like the shitty, dirty mirror selfie. And that's the one that goes viral.
100%.
So annoying. But what I want to say is give you, like, I think you're not giving yourself enough credit, because I don't think it's a fluke. I don't think it's like, oh, this randomly happened and I just like struck gold. I think you had been working for years building muscles that finally, when you had a concept that just like sparked your creativity and your joy, you were able to just like unleash all this talent that like you had literally been building for years.
Thank you.
You know? And that's why it also was so fluent, you know?
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's really nice to hear. And honestly, I think I've had like an internal battle with whether or not I want to let myself believe this, but Melania also was the last thing that happened before I sat down and finally wrote my book. I had been working for 5 years on a memoir that was very stop and start, and the whole thing happening with Melania, especially after Pretty Privilege and all of this other work that I had done surrounding like sex and power, for lack of a better way of putting that, and what it means to be a woman in the world, Melania kind of was the nail in the coffin. And then after that, I sat down and I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to do this. And I spent all of 2025 living off the TikTok Creator Rewards program from this theory and writing the first draft of my book. So to hear you say that is, again, extremely nice and very validating.
It's
and
true, though.
It kind of makes me feel better about saying, like, I actually think it was this series that, by accident, but I guess also not,
At
is
all.
what led me to what I believe to be like my true path and my true purpose, which was writing this project that kind of was the amalgamation of everything that had come before it and all the choices I'd made.
Could we say that like Melania funded your book?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. She's my angel investor.
Love.
Yes, we can say that.
Do you think she knows about you?
Yes, 100%. And
my
I'll tell you
God.
why. I'll tell you why. I don't know if you saw my Halloween costume where I dressed up as
girl,
her.
obviously.
Okay,
I
okay.
stalk you. I'm sorry.
Okay,
like very
thank you.
parasocial
Thank
over
you.
here.
Thank you very
probably
much.
haven't thought about me very much over the last few years, but I've thought about you a lot.
Thank you. That Halloween costume where, for your listeners, I was Dami Mommy Melania, and I walked a man who shall not be named around on a leash while he was wearing a Trump mask and an Uncle Sam outfit. Brett Ratner followed me after that. And I'm like, if Brett Ratner has seen my content, Melania has seen my content. And I also have to believe that in 2026, I mean, this series started, end of 2024. We live in an era where like there's always a Gen Z intern telling their boss what's going on online.
Yeah.
I mean, Melania, again, is a smart woman. She likes to know what's happening and then do nothing about it, but she likes to be informed. There is definitely a minion who has said, you know, Mrs. First Lady, you might want to see this.
Like, you're cool.
You're cool.
Like, you're
and I'm
actually really
sure
cool.
she is cackling in bed. And she's like, this bitch is 100% correct.
Yeah.
Why she hasn't sent me a bat signal or something, or like a bouquet
Oh,
of
no,
flowers, I
there's
don't
going to
know.
be a moment. There's
Something
like a
has to
car
come.
is just going to pull up on you.
really
and
hope
she's going to be like,
so.
get in.
Do you understand? I would have to take my own life after that, because it's not going to get any better. Like that is
I
the
can't
peak.
wait.
If I ever end up in the back of a limo with Melania, or like an escalated
It's
blacked
already
out windows.
happened.
All I need is to have like a Miranda Priestley moment with her where she just kind of nods and gives me that little stamp of approval, and no one can ever touch me ever again. Melania, if you're listening, please, like, I beg you, or the Gen Z intern, whoever it is, please make this happen. I need this.
Yeah.
I'll go off my meds if this happens. I will find joy organically. Can you imagine?
But the problem is like, the NDA would be so thick.
I know.
That, like, you would never be able to talk about it. So it's like, you might as well take your own life.
I would,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, 100%. You
Like,
know what I would do? I think I would, like, bring all my besties into my living room, and I would, like, lock all the phones away, like, Comedy Sellers style, and I'd be like, I brought you here today because I need to tell you a story.
Put
and
the tinfoil hat on first.
Yes. And if this story leaves this room, I will know it is one of you motherfuckers, and I will never talk to you again. But, like, I would have to be able to share
You'd
that
have
story
to.
with
You
the
would
friends and
have
loved
to.
ones. Who knows? Maybe Melania would want it to spread. It would be good for her campaign.
Yeah, I mean, like, after, like, they, like, get out of office, like, don't they have, like, a little bit more freedom?
Well, I'm very curious to see what happens when Trump refuses to leave office in 2 years. That's my theory.
So I was born in Venezuela. It happens.
Yeah.
I don't think people know
No, it's
that it
coming.
happens, but
Yeah.
it happens.
I think people are like, when's the revolution coming? When's it coming? I'm like, we are spiraling, but I think it's really going to arrive when he refuses to leave office. But
yeah.
I would like to see what she does during that time, because that's kind of her, like, out. You know, that's kind of her opportunity
true.
to walk away from a dumpster fire.
Dissent.
And she has spent all this time, all these years, making sure that the prenup is as advantageous as possible. Barron has his trust fund. She got paid $40 million from Amazon for her documentary. She's been, like, laying the groundwork. So when he goes full cuckoo, she would become a feminist hero if she walked away.
I can't wait.
And then go on book tour with Michelle Obama and would completely rebrand herself in culture. It would be brilliant. I hope
Fully.
she's listening. This is what she should do. If she's not thinking about that already.
Oh, fully. I mean, you know, she really is the first sex worker first lady.
Yeah, 100%.
Which to me means something.
100%.
And
visibility.
I did like a sort of mock half serious application for the Vogue head of editorial content this past summer. And honestly, my first goal was like, we're getting Melania on the cover. She's gonna be the first Republican first lady on the cover of Vogue. And I don't give a fuck. Like, let's talk about feminism. And I was gonna have you. This is my fantasy. I was going to have you write the cover story about how Melania has been covert resisting through fashion. I'm like, this is the fashion story. Also, this is the fashion story of the fucking century. Anna, get your head out of your fucking ass.
It sounds like we should just maybe do this anyway
Period.
and figure out how to just independently publish. I mean,
Truly.
this would truly be the honor of my life. Your belief in me is making me believe in
100%,
myself.
100%.
Where have you been all my life?
I'm here, girl. Just-
I'm calling my
I'm a
therapist
phone
when I
call
leave
away.
here today, and I'm going to be like, I don't need to be medicated up the way that I am
At
anymore. I found my guardian angel.
Yeah. You don't need
real.
ChatGPT to validate you. Just text
I
me.
really don't.
I'm a text
I'm going to
away.
start doing that, and then you're immediately going to regret that decision. Just warning you.
No, it's fine. It's fine. My people pleasing knows no bounds. Great. So speaking of doing nothing in response to the movie.
Yes.
What do you think, like, why do you think women are so punished for being emotionally withholding?
I think it's so interesting that, like, women of a certain age were raised on the image of, like, the femme fatale in the movies, and, like, the more mysterious and withholding you can be, the better it is. But I think in actuality, we're all so afraid of being unlikable, and we're also simultaneously conditioned to believe that being unlikable is the worst thing you can possibly be. And the more you withhold, to make generalizations, the less likable you are, kind of. And I don't know, I think people have such a visceral reaction to Melania for obviously a lot of reasons, but I think it goes beyond who her husband is. I think she is not just the first sex worker in the White House. I think she might be like the least likable woman who's ever been in the White House if you're judging just based on the surface. This woman does not try to be anything she's not. She does not try to be Mother Teresa. She does not try to make herself ugly. She does not try to cover up. She's not gotten rid of her acrylics. She carries a fucking Birkin everywhere when people are starving. And there's this call for her to, you know, step up and make the world a better place. And she's like, why? You know,
why that was never my plan.
That wasn't the plan. That's
not my brand.
That's not my responsibility. This woman has always been there to be, you know, quietly conniving and beautiful. And I have an idea of what's going on behind closed doors. It's a different type of service. It's not for the American people. It's for him. But this is a very interesting question that I've never been asked before. And I think it's important because I think that, you know, women are raised with all sorts of contradictions. And I do think this is a big one, that there's this pressure to be, not that Melania is a manic pixie dream girl, but like kind of the same way to, you know, be excellent and then disappear. But at the same time, the less you give of yourself, the more you're inviting people to project onto you. And unlike men, where the more mysterious you are, the sexier and more desirable everyone thinks you are, the less you give as a woman, everyone calls you an icy bitch. So what the fuck is up with that? I don't know that I have the answer. I just think that this is a really important query.
Yeah. I think Melania like takes it an inch or many steps further than just emotional withholding, because I'm sure there's been like, I mean, I'm not a history buff, but like I'm sure there's been many first ladies in the history of American whatever that have been icy, but have been like
Jackie
they have been like the epitome of like still like the matriarch of the household, you know, doing all the Christmas decorations. Like they might not be like very emotionally warm with their children, but at least they play the role of like America's mother and wife, right? She's like, fuck Christmas. She's like, I'm fucking Soviet.
It's inspiring. I honestly think there's something very inspiring about this, and I'm probably going to get flamed for saying this.
No, I love it.
I really believe we need more examples of women in culture, whether that's Hollywood or music or politics or wherever else, basically saying like, I'm not going to try to be anything I'm not. I'm not going to put on, you know, a drag show for you to step into your expectations of femininity. I'm just going to exist. And if you want to project onto my existence because of your own expectations or biases, that's your problem. I honestly think it's iconic. If we can really divorce her actions as a woman in public from who her husband is or what her political leanings may or may not be, I think that there's actually a lot we can learn. It kind of reminds me of, you remember when Scarlett Johansson, like some fan approached her in the wild and she was like, do not take my picture. I don't want to be here with you right now. Like, I do not want to be documented being here with you. I forget what the context of that was, but I remember reading that and I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, slay.
Like, duh. Yes. Why should the expectation be that just because somebody wants to exist with you, you should have to want to exist with them, you know? And
100%.
So yes, I actually think that amongst many other reasons, Melania is iconic. There is a valuable lesson to learn there for all women.
Why do you think people are so interested in decoding women that don't want to be decoded? Like, it's clear that like she's giving you nothing because she doesn't, like you said, she doesn't want to be here with us. She doesn't want to be here with the American people.
She really does.
But the more mysterious she is, the more we want to know.
I think it's a really interesting thing to bring up. And I think, you know, really it comes down to relatability. And I think relatability can often be divorced from likability. I think we are eager to, well, I don't know that the likability thing actually comes from other women. I think a lot of that is like a patriarchal, but I do think that women are very desperate to have relatable public figures because, again, we're all raised and conditioned to hate ourselves or feel like we're not good enough, we're not beautiful enough, we're not doing things the right way. And I think that's why we crave examples of messy women in the public eye. Obviously, like 2000s, 2010 culture was so toxic, but there was something, at least for me, so comforting about like watching the amount of alcoholics in Hollywood and women who had like severe drug problems and were crashing their car and were dating all the wrong men and were going to rehab 5 times. I was like, oh, like I'm not the only one with demons.
This is what suffrage looks like.
Yeah. And I think it was so nice to see that you can be the most beautiful woman in the world with, you know, all the money and all the access and all the freedom and still be self-loathing or still have demons, still have issues. And I think that when women are not only withholding, but also very deliberately controlled. Melania is deliberately controlled. She is beyond disciplined in every conceivable way, in her behavior, in her clothing, in every stitch, in her makeup, her hair, which is terrible most of the time. But you can tell that she puts a lot of thought into this stuff.
Into this terrible hair.
Yeah, into the terrible hair. Hervé Pierre should really help with that. You would think that her gay bestie would be a little bit more vocal, but maybe they're hiding something. I don't know. It's that weird like flippy top of her blowout.
It's also like the highlights. Like it's like
something is wrong. Something is deeply wrong. But again, I'm happy to see women with demons, and she clearly has a demon because the hair looks like that. But at least for me personally, I can't speak for everybody, I think that the relatability factor is a big one. Like, I think we're all hungry to watch women lose control and watch them fail. And I don't think that's out of hatred for other women as much as I think it's out of like the self-hatred that we're conditioned to have and the comfort that we're seeking within that. People might disagree with my take, and I honestly, I welcome that. But I hope that kind of answers your question.
No, that's what it all comes down to. I mean, I feel like I've had this conversation before where it's like, it's always the self-repression and like the shame that we feel that like makes humans feel like they have to like impose that on others.
Totally. And also, from what I understand, so many of her actions are motivated by wanting to give her son the best life possible.
And that makes a lot of sense.
And people are forgetting the fact that she's also a mother, you know, and she's also an immigrant, and she also supports her family. Like, there's a lot of other factors that I think she probably takes into consideration when she's determining her next move.
That are so relatable.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that that's the one thing that like this work that you did like actually like humanized her in a crazy way.
People got
and, like,
really mad at me for that, by the way. They were like, do not humanize this dumb hoe. It always came back to the dumb hoe. They're like, do not humanize this dumb hoe. And that made me think, are we not humanizing the dumb hoe because you think she's a hoe? I think the sex worker stigma was big.
Or is it the president? It's like, is it the hoe or is it the president?
And it's impossible to tell. I do think it's both and. You know, and that was maybe one of the most interesting takeaways was when I was reading the negative comments from both sides of the political spectrum. People seemed less mad about who her husband was than what her origin story may have been, or how she ended up with Trump in the first place, or what brought her to America, or how she was supporting herself in New York as a struggling model. And I was like, seriously, with the current climate that we live in, that's what you guys are choosing to focus on? So, yeah.
Well, you know what it is, though? It's like, for the left, the problem is her husband. And for the right, the problem is her sexuality.
Yep.
Right? And so it's like, she can't really win either party. And honestly, it's like, why would she want to give us fucking anything if that's what she's up against?
Right. And she said some version of that to the press a million times too, basically saying like, I feel like I can't say anything right. People always take issue with me. And I do think that's yet another relatable thing about her existence. 100%. As a woman, you will never win. And you mentioned something about being a people pleaser earlier. We're all raised to be people pleasers. 100%. Even those of us, you know, my mother is, you know, so feminist to the point that she literally has a blouse that says feminist all over it. But even with a mother like that, you know, it's like we were saying about being an ice queen. There's so much judgment that comes to you if you're not trying to make everybody else comfortable and happy. And, you know, I think Melania maybe has the ultimate unlock, which is you can have a happy life even if you think everyone else hates you, because you're not trying to prove them differently. You're just living for yourself.
Okay, so we're going to move a little bit away from Melania.
Let's do it.
I feel like we could keep going all day.
I hope I gave you everything you wanted.
Honey, like I'm fulfilled.
Okay.
Truly and deeply. All I need now is for you to actually get that validation.
We're putting it out into the universe. I'm a full believer in manifestation now. So here we are.
Switching to some more like personal questions, just like your opinions on things, and also maybe a little bit about your background. So we talked a lot about like your work has sort of intersected with sex work and DOMs and DS culture a lot. Do you have any personal like history or experience in DOM work? Because I'm sure that also just from the Melania series, like you've probably had a lot of submissive men in your inbox trying to serve you.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
No, it's very believable.
I think it was shocking for me.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was so shocking because like I thought that looking at the Halloween costume, a lot of them specifically came from the Halloween costume, which I thought was just so camp. It was so ridiculous. I mean, my Trump was so skinny. Like there was no way that could have been serious. But there were people like begging for me to like shit into a mason jar and mail it to them in my DMs, all sorts of levels. And I sometimes wonder if I'm fumbling my bag not doing that.
You didn't entertain anything.
Not really. I like sold a guy some like socks and some bras, but like I wouldn't even send the underwear because I'm a little bit worried about my safety. Like there are not enough like boundaries and parameters. I don't have real experience being a professional in this world. And I know I don't take things seriously enough. Like this is a great example. I thought that this was like a hilarious joke and it spiraled out into like a serious documentary. So me taking on, let me be a little dommy mommy in my DMs, the next thing you know, like I'm dead on my doorstep. I really do need to take things a little bit more seriously. Both of my parents are lawyers also, so I always have their voices in the back of my head thinking the worst. But I do wonder if I'm fumbling my bag not taking that on. To answer your question, I took Colette Pervet's mistress class.
Oh, amazing. We love her.
At the end of 2024. She's amazing. She's brilliant. She's coming on my podcast this season.
Amazing.
And I do think that having that education was helpful. I think I've always just been fascinated by sex work, period. A lot of my friends are sex workers. I think that if you are a woman in the world, you are a sex worker.
To some extent.
To some extent.
Period.
I grew up affluent in Jewish in Manhattan, and a lot of us, not me, I feel very lucky, but a lot of us are raised to do nothing but find a rich husband. I think there is so much talk in culture about, how to attract a rich man and how to hold yourself to a certain standard. And I think even if you're not doing that, you are selling your soul at a job that is underpaying you. And if you know where to look and how to look for it, it is unbelievable how transactional being a woman in the world is. And I think that's why it bothers me so much that there is such bias against sex workers who claim that as their work when everything in life, survival as a woman, is somehow transactional. And once I reached that conclusion on my own, which again might invite criticism or people disagreeing with me, but once I kind of landed there, I became fascinated with not only learning more about sex work, but also identifying all the other ways that it's permeated, so-called civilian culture. And I think that this series was also kind of the end result of me trying to identify those dynamics in a more vanilla landscape. So it was helpful to have the education from Colette, but a lot of it was also self-education and wanting to be surrounded by women who I honestly think are so brave and so inspiring and have levels of self-esteem. Kayla's an amazing example of that, I could only strive for or hope for. So it is interesting that I think through my work I've landed in this kind of midpoint where I do have a lot of association with sex work, but I'm not a sex worker. But I think that's a really blessed place to be because I can help people tell their stories and still get a tremendous amount of online hate, but have a little bit of an easier time getting people to take me seriously too.
Yeah, well, that's one of the best answers I've ever heard. Do you want my job? I'm like, okay, I'm done, you guys. I think that we need more people who haven't done sex work to be like, hey, I actually haven't done this work, but but everything you just said. You know what I mean? I think that that's really important because it is true. It's, historically it was white people are more likely to listen to other white people about racism. I'm sure cis people are more likely to listen to cis people about transgender issues. You know what I mean? And I think it's the same thing about sex work where for me, creating Petit Mort was really important that I didn't alienate the civilian audience and I kind of welcomed them in. I always thought about creating this for the girl that I was before I was a sex worker who was really whorephobic and had a lot of things to deconstruct in my own mind. And I think that the more we actually create opportunities to have conversations across the aisle, right? The more we're going to realize how much we share in common and that we're not actually at odds with each other, like escorts and wives and girlfriends and strippers, we're not at odds with each other. We're all kind of doing the same thing.
I know.
And if we actually work together, we could actually all sort of rise up.
And not devalue one another, not say that, somebody is selling themselves short because they're choosing to capitalize on their sexuality, or someone is selling themselves short because they chose to marry a rich man, or they're selling themselves short because they chose a corporate, life where they're doing neither of those things. I mean, there is no one right answer. We're all just trying to to survive. And I find it so fascinating, but also validating that my most downloaded podcast episodes are always about sex work, always. Those are the episodes that people are begging for when I ask my audience, what do you want me to explore? And I don't know if maybe people feel a certain level of like shame about their curiosity, but that's always why I have felt so driven to humanize the sex worker experience to the best of my ability, to hopefully show
100%.
my civilian audience that these people are just like us. They're just making a different set of decisions that can, you know, help them live their best life.
100%, and sometimes just operating a little bit more transparently.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's undeniable that the world is obsessed.
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 The radical honesty, I think, is also what really scares people.
Yeah.
Is women who are standing up, not being afraid to say, I want money.
Period.
And this is how I am going to
Yeah.
get it. I don't even think it's the sex as much as it's the money. And to bring it back to Melania, I think Melania's shameless hunger for money and for the power that comes from money is part of the reason why people have such a distaste for her. I don't think it's as much about Trump as it is about the money and the thirst for power.
No, it's so true. And like, this is the thing where it's like, I've said this so many times, like to anyone who will listen, but like, you cannot raise little girls telling them that like, if you order the lobster, you have to put out, and that the wedding ring has to be worth three months salary, and that he better be picking you up and with flowers. It's like, what if I don't want the fucking lobster? What if lobster doesn't pay my fucking rent? What if a diamond ring doesn't pay my rent? Have you heard about the resale value of fucking diamonds in this country?
Where's the autonomy in any of that?
Please. Like, God forbid you ask for something that gives you a little bit of freedom, a little bit of a sense of self. Like, excuse me. And then when that little girl's like, if you literally ask a kid, like, what's the difference? They would just be like, I want the money. If you ask, like, not that you should ask children these questions.
No, maybe you should.
But like, maybe
Amazing
you should.
Content series.
I'm just saying, like, you like, do you want a lobster dinner or do you want $100 that you can do whatever you want with?
Totally.
The kid doesn't want to eat the lobster.
It's the money that scares people, especially men.
Okay, so speaking about like what we teach little girls about dating, what is your most controversial opinion about sexual dynamics today?
I think it's difficult to be like controversial today because everyone on TikTok is just controversial. I mean, I'm obviously too online. Oh God. Okay. I think that, how do I want to say this? This is a good question. This is sneaky. This is very sneaky. Okay, well, I guess I have a couple. First of all, I think everyone's gay. That's first. 100%. I don't understand why it's so normal for women to be interested in other women, even just at like a baseline curiosity level, and somehow like the average man isn't. Like, I think every man wants to suck dick, and I think that if every man sucked dick, we would live in a much happier place. I also think women should be like much more accepting of their husbands or their boyfriends or whoever like wanting to get a little bit experimental. So that's one. I don't think that's controversial. It's just cold hard fact as far as I'm concerned. I don't know. People love to say how hard it is to date in New York, and that has not been my experience.
And you're like, so hard.
And I'm like, I'm getting picked up left and right. No, that's not really what it is. I think that people who are struggling with dating are maybe not being open-minded enough. And I hate when people say, oh, you need to be more open-minded, or you know, you need to put yourself out there more. But I do think that most people have a pretty specific idea of the type of person they think they want to date. Mm-hmm. And I think that whether it's using the apps or what bars you're choosing to go to, a lot of women are looking for a very particular demographic of man, whether that is someone who works in finance or someone who's a creative director or somebody who is a fucking skater or whatever it is that you're interested in. But I think that we are thinking way too surface level. Some of my most rewarding experiences, whether that's like a full-blown relationship or just a fun couple of nights, have been with somebody that I wasn't expecting to meet, and that I didn't have any like judgments or biases going into our dynamic, and was kind of outside of what I perceived to be my traditional type. Recently, I had an experience with somebody that I was seeing who was literally the antithesis of my usual type. Like, I usually go for quite metrosexual men who are like very clean.
Like, I'm the one that wants the gay guy.
Shamelessly. But I think when you put yourself out there with a very specific set of expectations of how it should go, that's when people find themselves struggling. So I don't know if the girls are going to hate me for saying this, because we're all, again, trying to survive in every conceivable way. But I have removed myself from any particular type of person I think I'm looking for. Yeah. And as a result, my dating life has been really fun.
You gotta let the world surprise you, and it's like, you're not God. Like, sometimes you don't know what is actually going to be the best thing. And I think that, like, you know, something Esther Perel talks about all the time is, like, a lot of people are just trying to, like, cast somebody in the role of the script that they wrote for the relationship that they want.
Square peg into the round hole.
Exactly. And so when you just throw the script away and you're like, maybe my life's supposed to look different. Maybe it could be so much better than I ever imagined. That's when the blessings come in. And in the forms of really cool and hot and sexy people that you didn't even realize you needed.
100%.
What is the most expensive mistake or lesson you've ever had to learn or teach someone? Preferably and.
Learn or teach someone. I guess it goes both ways. This is the most, like, conventional, vanilla, stereotypical answer that I'm going to give you the whole time. As so many women have done historically, like, there is a man that I have been trying to change and fix for so long. That has been expensive for me because it has kept me in therapy. And the amount of emotional trauma that I have brought upon myself, knowing logically that I am not going to fix this person.
Can't relate.
This person is going to have to fix themselves. And yet I think, well, I've had so much therapy. I'm paying it forward. I have so much I can give. I can make him better. He's just been waiting for me. I'm the right person. That is all such fucking bullshit. And it has drained me spiritually and financially. And I guess I also apply this to the lesson I've been trying to teach him, because again, I've been trying to fix him, and it's just been expensive for me in trying to fix him. But my delusional belief that I'm different and I'm the one who can do it, that's also a radical mistake that has been draining me as well. And also, any shoes that are over $1,000 usually aren't worth it. That's another expensive mistake that I can.
Yeah, and like, you never end up wearing them.
No, I mean, I have the So-Kates, right? Like the famous Melania shoe. I've worn them a grand total of 3 times. One of them being my Halloween costume, because you can't walk in them. Yeah. They're just not worth it. And $1,000 plus shoe is just not worth it. It's not worth it. So men, you have to change. Not worth it. $1,000 shoe is not worth it.
I'd love to save you a little bit of money. Have you ever tried Coda?
What is that?
Codependence Anonymous.
Oh,
it's free.
I haven't. Okay. But
just like for fixing people. It's just like nice. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you like call out meetings and you're like, I'm not an alcoholic. And it's like, no. It's free therapy. It's just like, it's like, and it'll just get to the root of the issue. So you can also stop fixating on the guy.
Okay, fantastic.
So just
send me the link.
Yeah. Zoom meetings if you don't want to go in person. Listen,
I will have to hide away in my house for that one. I think,
Turn the camera off.
Actually, would be really good for my personal brand. I think if someone saw me at Codependence Anonymous, it probably would feed whatever internet lore I have. So maybe I should go in person.
Also, like, all the Anonymouses, like, it's kind of like, in New York, it's kind of like the Illuminati. Like, it's like all of the people doing all of the things are like
everyone relevant is in an anonymous program.
You know what I mean? So, like, really no shame in the game. I just want to save you a couple dollars.
Thank you.
Now let's make you a couple dollars.
Okay.
Please tell me everything you have coming up. You have a fucking packed spring, summer.
Yes, I do.
I want to know all. I want everyone to know.
I am hoping that your assessment of everything happening at the timing that it should is true. The new season of my podcast, Tales of Taboo, is premiering on Monday, June 8th. I've been on hiatus for about 1.5 years now. I am very, very excited to come back. This season is probably the most mature and sophisticated season I've ever made. But for that reason, I think it's going to be the most resonant and meaningful for people listening. The podcast and I are also featured in a documentary called Spin Wars, which is premiering at the Tribeca Film Festival. We have 4 screenings. I don't know that the timing for that is going to line up with the release of this episode, but if we do get acquired by a streamer, which I am manifesting that we will, everybody needs to watch Spin Wars when it comes out in the fall. And lots of other things on the docket. So if people want to stalk me or get in touch with me or ask me to shit in a jar and send it to them, they can find me on Instagram or TikTok at Ali Weiss World.
Amazing. And we will link it below in the show notes.
Yay.
I can't wait.
Thank you
I
for
can't wait.
having
It's gonna be
me.
amazing.
This was so fun, and you're so encouraging. I'm like literally
thank
quitting my
you.
therapist. I'm going to Coda, and I'm gonna call you. For
Yeah, great. And you're
spiritual
taking
advice.
over my job at Petit Mort.
Yes, 100%.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
perfect. This worked out so well.
Great.